I just want to bring it out there that it's been an entire year since you watched this show. So this is a new episode in a new year. And you're watching that you haven't seen since last year. So congratulations. We have a very interesting show today. We're going to be talking about a few different things. First of all, we're going to be talking about time management and the importance of having our day in the right time, managing the things that we do each day. As we know, it's not just, we can't just do one thing all day. We can't just do everything. We have to balance everything. Both religion, of course, work, entertainment, everything has to be balanced. And today we're going to be talking about a specific quote from Imam Musa al-Jafar alayhi salam, Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, and we're going to be talking about what he said about time management. Joining me today are our guests, Brother Hadi, Brother Syed, Sister Masooma, and Sister Wajiha. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
So, just starting it out, I'm going to read the quote. The hadith is, try to divide your day into night into 4 parts. 1 part for worship to Allah, another for earning a living, the 3rd part for associating with brothers in faith whom you trust and those who can remind you of your slips and are benevolent to you, and the last part for engaging in harmless entertainment and legitimate pleasures, in light of which you can carry out your duties, and the other 3 parts quite efficiently. So, starting out, what do you guys, what do you think about this quote? Just starting out, obviously we're going to dissect it into parts, but what do you think about this?
It seems like a regular, Sunday.
Yeah.
Like how, you're relaxing, you have no schoolwork, you pray your 5 prayers on time, and, alhamdulillah, or inshallah. And then you, read a book, like the harmless activity that you do that is entertaining. And then you hang out with your friends or hang out with your siblings or cousins, who are the same faith as you, or, your faiths and brothers. And then, what was the one of the, and engaging in worship prayers book, and then with your brothers and sisters, and then with the income, people do it online.
Yeah, of
People,
course.
there's different ways of doing that, right?
Yeah.
So of course that would be on a Monday, not on a Sunday,
Yeah,
if you're working.
Sundays.
Yeah. So it's like it's alhamdulillah, and how wise their wisdom was like so many centuries ago. Like now today, that's like the perfect day, right? A little bit of everything and not too stressful, and it's in harmony, it's in balance.
Yeah, and of course, this quote is for all time. It's not just something that applied to him, thousands of years ago. This is something that is, equally as, important today as it was back then. So let's divide it into a few parts. Let's just talk about it individually. The first part is for worship to Allah. That's obviously the main thing. It's the first thing on the list. Where do you guys put this realistically, right? I don't want to make this, the round table of, emotions. I don't want to, expose anyone here. But realistically, what would you say, how much importance that you would give to the religious side of everything in terms of your day? Do you think it's the first thing, it's our top priority, or we, kind of put it off to the side?
I think it should be our top priority, and I feel like worship comes in different stages. Obviously, doing your namaz is probably the first stage,
Yeah.
and then there's many stages after that.
Yeah, of course, the wajib first.
Yeah, your wajibat, and then after that, the other things something as simple as just saying Subhanallah and looking at the world, something like that.
Yeah, of course. So starting off with the basics, like you said, which is the wajib, of course. Then moving on to the mustahab, other things. So anyone else would like to say about your day, how much priority we give to religion?
Well, it's not about time. It's more about in your whole life. Manage it between your whole life. Your whole namaz, you have to do. It's your top priority. You have to do it every day. So you have to do it within your life.
Yeah, and obviously, of course, reading it on time is also a huge priority. I don't think people really don't care about that part, I would say. You agree, Masooma?
According to what I've seen on a daily, some people do not really think it's, like they're like, okay, let me just get this thing done, then I'll pray, or, okay, let me just have this meal and I'll pray, or let me just watch this last episode. Because personally,
I see.
sometimes I do that, like I'm like, okay,
I
let me just
see,
eat,
yeah.
let me just eat something and then I'll pray. And then, so it's once you're eating and then, you have to get up, put the dish in the kitchen, so time gets consumed, and then, later on you realize that prayer time ran out, So, from a personal experience, you have to just be like, you know what, let me first pray and then I'll do the rest of the thing, because prayer is number one. You could eat later, but prayer time is prayer time. So I've seen people do put prayer on this time. They don't really, see the significance of the time of the prayer. They just first do the activities and then pray. So yeah.
Yeah, and like you're saying about the cleanup part, like, you put something away and then you clean up.
Yeah.
That's like exactly what happens to me. I feel like what happens is, like it's just namaz time is coming up, and then all of a sudden I notice something in the corner that wasn't clean, so I'm gonna go clean it up. But obviously, what is that? Like, it's not actually has to be cleaned. It's really more, shaitan's tactics that he distracts you. Also, I remember obviously it's better to be clean when you read your namaz.
Of course.
So I remember sometimes thinking, oh, why don't I have a shower, like, right at namaz time? So I'll be clean for namaz time. And then, 20 minutes later, it's already passed.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's as easy as that is how you, lose
Time.
that very important time of reading namaz on time. Yeah, so like we were talking about, there should be limits. Everything else really, like everything else throughout the day, especially, in the quote, everything else that we do, everything else, all of that stuff has limits. It has, barriers, things that you can move it aside, and you can do it a little later. But our main priority should be worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and of course doing our wajib, even trying to do our mustahab. Just remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be number one.
I think,
What do you think about that?
I think there's actually if you once you read your namazes and you do your wajibat, you feel a satisfaction. You feel a sense of if you completed something. And since you completed something, you have you sort of get a motivation to do more. And so I think that leads to you having eventually more of a productive day.
Yeah, and of course, what I found is if we're talking about, if you read your namaz for 15 minutes, and then you can do something else for an hour. Obviously, reading your namaz, you feel like you said, you feel like you actually did something. It feels, it's more of an impact.
Also, when you read your namaz, you feel more energized. So
Yeah.
you feel like you can do more things, especially when you read it on time.
That's also the strange mystery about fasting, isn't it? The strange mystery about fasting is sometimes when you fast, right? At first you think, oh, I'm so hungry, but then after that is when you have so much energy, more energy in obviously your brain processes a lot more, because usually people are always thinking about, food, what am I going to eat? In fact, right now I'm kind of hungry. I mean, can somebody get me something to eat? No? Okay. Yeah. Jen was just thinking, you got to think about what to eat, right? No, but, people are always thinking about what to eat. So obviously when you have that extra time, obviously there's a huge difference. So that's the first part of the quote, which was our religious things. So I didn't notice, but, I have the questions. Nobody really answered how carefully they are about these things. You're talking about the general public. Could you please expose yourselves to this question? Sister Wajiha, would you like to start off?
All right.
It's your own personal,
So how careful we are with
No,
managing our
not
time.
you. How careful are you?
How careful am
Yes.
I with managing time when it comes to prayer, right?
Yes.
Okay. So personally, the first thing I really care about is waking up for Fajr. If I don't wake up for Fajr, I feel like my whole day has been off.
Of course, yeah, you have to start your day off, right?
Of course, definitely. And so when I realize that, I slept through my alarm, I overslept, I get, oh my God. And then I feel like sleeping more, and I'm like, and then because right now it's winter times, and then, Zohar comes a little earlier compared to before.
And of course, it's so, in the winter especially, it's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely.
I want to leave my nice warm bed and, go out on the hardwood floor and read namaz.
Definitely,
That's
yeah.
obviously the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, and then I oversleep, and then I miss the timings for Zohar, and then it's Asr time. So I oversleep if I start off my day in a wrong like on the wrong side of the bed, right? So Fajr is obviously my top priority. But I'm making this habit now, alhamdulillah. If I do not wake up for Fajr, then I shouldn't also, waste my time on other prayers as well. So
Yeah.
like, if I missed Fajr, it's all right. Try again, right? So I try to motivate myself that way. But yeah, Fajr I think is my biggest struggle personally. And then I try to not oversleep or like sleep excessively afterwards if I do miss it. And then Zuhr, Asr, and then Isha, Maghrib. And sometimes for Isha, Maghrib, because you know that you have, the night's long, you could pray a little bit afterwards. So after when it's Maghrib, I know sometimes I miss it, like the time frame from Maghrib, and then I pray Maghrib with Isha when it's Isha time. So that's personally for me, I have to fix my Maghrib and my Fajr times. But yeah, that's how it is. But mashallah, the impact of just praying on time, it does really
Yeah.
influence you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you were saying about the chain, that if you read one on time, or even if you miss one, then you tend to like miss the others, or
Definitely.
So-
I think something like a piece of advice would be to, I guess, just build your day around all the namaz. Because like I feel like if you have like a kind of a structure, then you kind of know what you have to do and when you have to do it. It's like write it in a planner or something. Like you have to read namaz at this time, and when you finish your namaz, just check it off, and then you can go on to the next thing or whatever schoolwork you have or whatever you have to do during the day.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that. Like if, for example, like, usually we have like a big time frame. Oh yeah, we could pray like, Asr from this time to this time. But it's not like a specific time that we set. Like for example, our other homeworks, like 3 o'clock gotta start this, 3:30 gotta do this. I definitely agree. That's a good piece of advice. Thank you, Hadi.
You're welcome, brother. It's, yeah, that was a very good point. Also, you think of, like you were saying about priority. I mean, you didn't use priority, the exact word. That was for me. But that idea of putting something first, like for example, with our namaz and the religious side, that should be priority number one. And obviously this is a different topic that we talked about earlier. You can check it out on our YouTube channel if you'd like. But the topic we were talking about was about management of like using devices, and how our priority, like for example, kids when they go to school, right, and their parent says to them, oh yeah, if you do well in school, then you get to use, you get to play for a certain amount of time. So what does the priority become with that? The priority becomes that if I do good in this, then the goal is to play. So obviously got to motivate them somehow. Brother Syed, would you like? Just kidding. Got to motivate somehow. But that idea of having something ahead, and we have to understand, what our priorities are. That our priority is the namaz, of course. So that's a very important thing, that we have our priorities in straight.
And to add on to that is where in some parents will they say if they do good, you can play as long as you want, right? But that's not supposed to be the goal. If you do good in school that's good, but you're supposed to manage your time, because you're not supposed to just spend the whole day playing. If you do good, doesn't mean you get to use your entire time just doing that.
Yeah, don't like excessively, play with your reward, or like, abuse the privilege, or like abuse your, the gift that you got.
Yeah, and of course, that's like the main thing we're talking about, is how you have to put your day into different sections, like the 4 main parts, as the Imam said. And I like that Brother Hussein was the one who said that, because Brother Hussein is known for playing all day. So, thank you, Brother Hussein. He's an expert. He's the best one to tell you. Thank you. So let's go into the next part. The first part, of course, worship. The next part is for earning a living. Now, Brother Hadi, we know you have a job, a wife, and kids. Would you like to elaborate on this part?
Actually, that is contrary to the popular belief. That is not true.
You don't. Oh.
I'm on my own.
A drifter. No one understands.
But I mean, I think after I think it's the same with namaz. Like your second priority after namaz, or your wajibat, should be like what your lifetime goals are. Like school, like what do you want to achieve in life? Like you want to become a doctor, you want to become a lawyer, or like whatever you want to do, I think you should work towards that goal after you do your wajibat. So I think it's just really like personal for whoever you are.
Yeah, and of course, it's okay to obviously have, different goals. That's the thing you have to, of course, having a living or going to school. Brother Saint is a college student. Sorry, that was
also exaggerated.
yeah, sorry, that was Sister Masooma. So can you tell us about that second part, managing time, in the studies you have to do? Can you tell us?
Well, that's kind of a tricky question because it's really hard to manage time with your education because you have to carry that with everything that you're doing the whole day.
Yeah.
So basically, it's, how do I put this into words? Because like when you set yourself to study, you're basically, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and study, but behind the scenes, it's basically sometimes using your phone or sometimes you're distracted by something else. So I feel like before I have to study, I have to like pray because that increases my concentration. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I prayed, now I'm going to study. So now I have like, a whole hour, 2 hours of just like consistent studying. So I feel like time management with studies is the same as time management with prayer. So it kind of like links together.
Yeah.
So so I feel like, but time management with education and studying is really hard, and it's really important too, because sometimes it's like for example, like finals week. Now I know I have to study a lot, and then sometimes I get lazy. I'm like, you know what? I really have to study, so I don't have time to pray. Even though sometimes you don't realize that you got to pray first, and then God willingly will help you, with your education and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of time with like education that it takes a whole part of the day.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot. Whether you're doing homework, whatever you're doing, it takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if only it was a theoretical world where it takes 5 minutes. It doesn't take that much time. So of course that's the whole idea where time management comes into play. Is namaz is this amount of time, and all these other things. Of course, school is this amount of time, and these all take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
But of course that's the thing, to even it out. Don't spend time with your friends all day. Don't play all day. Have everything in its own part and section. And Brother Hussein, you're known for doing schoolwork and getting to school on time, of course?
Yeah,
Thanks.
actually, I am.
That's great. So could you tell us what's your side of that? Of course, you're the older of the group. So could you just give us your personal experiences with, reading your namaz, struggling to reading your namaz, and doing your schoolwork?
Well, even during exams, you still have to have dedication for certain things. You have to have dedication for the exam, then you have to put aside also for namaz, so you can pray to do good. Otherwise, if you just push namaz all the way to the side, and you just study your homework and for your exams, then maybe you won't do good, even though you studied for like 10 hours, 15 hours, just spending all of your time on that. And you didn't even pray in namaz.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the section of that in terms of, earning a living. That's the next part. The next part of it is, what do you think is the next part? I mean, I read in the beginning. The next part is, of course, Brother Hadi, what do you think the next part would be? He doesn't know.
Friends and family.
And this is the problem of the show when you get in a little too much. I read it in the beginning, so if you didn't hear it yourself, I'm sorry. Please watch over it. You can watch it on our YouTube channel if you like. So the next part of it is for associating with brothers in faith whom you trust and those who can remind you of your slips and are benevolent to you. Now, this is the part of time for, of course, being with your friends
Mm-hmm.
or, relatives in that sense. Of course, I don't have any relatives here, but spending time with your relatives, spending time with your friends, family, all of that. So there has to be a certain point of time in the day. Of course, like I said, this also adds in with your family. It's good to spend a certain amount of time with your family every day. Instead of being, like there's a cameraman I know, Ali Hassan, stays in a room most of the time. And that's not a good thing. What has to be is, I think it was Ayatollah, was it Khamenei or Khomeini? I think it was Ayatollah Khomeini. He would, he mentioned the importance of spending time with your family. I think he would spend, like an hour every day or a certain amount of time every day, spending time with his family. And of course, we're not talking about some small-time schmo here. He's not a regular Ayatollah. We're talking about a guy who had to run a country, basically, a country. And he was still able to set aside time for this. So if he was able to do that, then, of course, regular, people like us are, of course, should be way easier for us than for him. So what do you guys think about this? I'm not asking questions specifically. If someone would like to answer, you
You could go.
yes, you could lose.
You go.
Okay.
Both talk yourself.
So, I'm sorry. So I feel like spending times with friends and family is quite important too, because if you like just spend your day to yourself, sometimes you don't you need to let yourself out to other people and make them help you. Like for example, for instance, if I'm like all day crammed up in my bedroom, like just studying and just doing me, then I come to my sister at times where I talk to her and then I tell her about my day, and my sisters, and I have like two best friends, and they sometimes they point out stuff that that are wrong. So like for me, I might think it's right, but for them, they kind of open up your mind to different perspectives, saying that what, you're doing this, it might not be right. It gives you like more to think about. So
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes as a person you can be wrong, and you need other people who are close and of our same faith and true believers to help you open up your eyes to see there's more to this, or there's this is wrong or something like that. So I feel like having 1 or 2 hours spending with your friends and family helps a lot throughout your life and everything.
Yeah. Brother thing?
Yeah, associated with that, you have to dedicate at least like maybe 1 hour or maybe half an hour, 1 hour to 2 hours with your family. Maybe family time. You can either play a game, maybe you can just talk with them. Create a bigger relationship, huh? Also with your friends and family.
That's great.
I think like Sister Masooma said, that you can benefit a lot from having good and healthy relationships with your family, friends and family, because I feel like just having a support system around you can benefit you a lot, like realizing things that you couldn't realize on your own.
I can add on. Also, to build a big relationship with good religious friends, so if you are in time of need, they can support you.
I would just like to put an opinion on this, like, mashallah, at the
This is
tradition.
the debate segment.
No, at the tradition, at this part, like how like mostly people like to keep to themselves, or like to keep alone. But like, mashallah, look how healthy this is. Like how the wisdom of this, that it's better for you to be with somebody, to be with a support group, to be with friends and family, and it acknowledges, or it nods toward having a little community within your home or within your group, right? So it comes to show that how much human contact and human connection is so important to self-improvement towards getting to form a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Self-improvement. That's a pretty good topic, I'd say. Right on? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, especially during the just New Year. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll save that for another time. It's not on this paper or anything. So yeah, now comes to the awkward part of talking about friends and family. Bad friends and family. He talks about specific things. Like I was talking about, associating whom we trust, and those who can remind you of your slips, and those who are benevolent to you. Now, the idea of, you have to be with people, like everyone mentioned, who are going to, in the end, help you. People who are helping. Because in the end, we don't want to be associated with someone who brings us down religiously, or someone who, ruins, brings us closer to shaitan, which is what you don't want to do.
I can add on to that. You're not supposed to have it's not good to have bad friends that influence you to doing bad. So if you are very high spiritually, and then you get a bad friend, he'll influence you to do a lot of bad, and it'll bring you more closer to shaitan and farther away from Allah.
And I think to add on to that, I believe this is a quote from Imam Ali, where he says that like the strongest quality to find to how to find a good friend, the strongest quality they should have is that they should be strong on their deen. I think that's honestly like the biggest quality that a good friend could have or someone you could trust would have.
Here's a question. How do you know if you have a bad friend? Masooma has a lot of them. Would you like to?
No, I don't, but I used to. They're a bad friend when you're talking to them, they make it all about themselves. And when
Rule number one.
rule number one. And secondly, if you're trying to look for a good religious friend, if I say that, oh my God, can we, like, if we're, for example, if me and my friend are studying and I'm like, okay, it's time for us, so we have to go pray and stuff, and she says, no, it's too far, or we have to finish this topic, or let's go afterwards, you kind of like get a hint
Good
that,
point, yeah.
that person is getting me away from my first priority, which is namaz.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, which I used to have like a friend like that before, like in the beginning of college, who would like distract me from, like prayers.
Can you get a name, please?
No, but yeah, and
I'll give an address after.
okay. But like there used to be people who used to be like, let's just go out and do this, let's go out and do that. But then in reality, I'm like, what? I come from a totally different, background.
Yeah.
So that for me is like a total no-no. So that's when I realized that, wow, like I really just like the ghost a person. Like I literally just ghosted them. Like, I'm a dip. This is not good for me.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of things that you could
So
tell
to
in
the
a person.
If Sister Masooma doesn't respond to you for the last 5 years, then now you know why. Here's an explanation. I'm sorry for the misconception about that. So yeah, that's one of the ways to find a bad friend. So of course, having a bad friend, like I said, those people who bring you down. So
Also, if they're a bad friend, if in your time of
didn't you
need,
just say that? Just kidding. Go ahead.
in your time of need, if you really need help and they don't support you, and if it's like namaz time, and they remind you, that's a good friend. But if they just try and get you away from that and stop you from reading on time, that's also a bad friend.
Good point. Sister Masooma and Sister Same said very similar things, almost
Sister
identical, you could
Hussein.
say.
I got a sister.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please edit that part out. But so that's the part we were talking about in the idea of the people you spend your time with. Now we were talking about this is obviously a little different direction, but we were talking about knowing you have a bad friend. And someone who, of course, you don't always have friends who are, down to earth Muslims, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not friends like say Muhammad, it's not always like that. So what do you do? How can you, have the line having a friend who has different beliefs than you? How do you adjust? How can you have it in a way that's not harmful to you?
I think you shouldn't be closed-minded because everyone comes from a different background, and you should be open to new ideas, but limit them to your beliefs. Don't if someone has a different belief system per se, don't just follow something that they say with an open don't follow something they say without doing your own research, or don't blindly follow someone. But you could stay within the limits of friendship by just having an open mind and not getting angry or overreacting to things that you don't agree with.
Yeah, so like you were saying, understanding about people have different religions, different faiths, this and that, but also staying clear to what you believe and what you understand. Which, of course, if you're watching this channel, is most likely Islam, inshallah. If you have some other brothers, that's fine too. Oh my gosh. That's not good, is it? I've just received news that you're not subscribed to our Velayat TV USA YouTube channel. If you'd like to watch all our daily programmings and more, you can go to the Velayat TV USA YouTube channel. You can subscribe for everything. Our last video was posted over there. This video will inshallah be posted with there. In excellent sound quality, of course. So there's a variety of different topics from, of course, Salam Yalsain to this program and a lot of other great programming. So if you'd like to subscribe, and you'd like to also like this video, you could also put on notifications so it'll notify you whenever we upload a video. Thank you. So, we went over this topic. This part is done. Let's get over to the last part, which is the part that, 1 to 4 out of 5 people from here suffer from this. And that is engaging in harmless entertainment and legitimate pleasures in light of which you can carry out your duties and other 3 parts quite efficient. I don't want to point fingers here, but would you like to, how do we do this? So, Brother Hadi, I know that you use your phone a lot. And, you're quite a different user of these online activities. So, how do you, like we were saying, how do you balance every single thing? How do you make room for everything? While also, of course, having some fun.
I think the biggest thing is just to know your limits.
Yeah.
And just always keep in the back of your head, like, what your moral values are and what's important to you as a person and what's important to the religion of Islam.
So, that was great, but what can we get in terms of screen time? Realistically, how much would you say you use every day?
A lot.
Hobby's bonus left the chat. So, would anyone else like to, realistically say, because, if you want to check my screen time, you can't do that, but, whatever, like, realistically, how much would you say you use
How much
every
would you say you use?
5 or 10 minutes only to watch this program? But, like I said, realistically, I use, a decent amount, 5 or 10, 20 hours. Nothing, it's not that much, I just say, an hour a day, 2 hours, 3, 4, 5, along those lines.
8.
So like you get those weekly reports on your
Yeah.
iPhone, right? So alhamdulillah, mine has gone down 18%.
18%.
Yeah, so like it does like a weekly stuff. So now
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, I think in a week I use majority 5 hours in a week, my phone. That's what it
We
says.
got an abuser.
Yeah,
Actually pretty good.
yeah. I
That's
actually
actually, yeah.
Really.
It's quite better than you.
That's great. I don't believe it, but yeah. Yeah.
before I have to say, okay, it used to be 12 hours a week. That's how much it used to be. Yeah, basically it's like a half a day, right? But now alhamdulillah decreased.
But I think
But that's because my laptop screen time increased. That's why. I guess that's why my laptop screen time increased.
I feel like during COVID,
Yeah, definitely.
You can't avoid being on the screen.
Yeah, phone.
What is it like? What do you guys even do? Like,
Okay, so like schoolwork, right?
yeah,
And then when you're not doing schoolwork, then but with schoolwork that's include like YouTube videos, lectures and then pre-recorded lectures and then your
Yeah, of course,
homework,
you
right? All
check
that.
whatever's on the
Yeah,
to-do
but like
list.
aside from that, right? And then maybe an episode of The Office here and there,
Oh, wow. We're
um,
getting cut down for that.
if you all like to subscribe.
like just an
Well, this
episode,
is
like
nice,
watch
man,
something.
like,
Yeah, just like watch something, or then, or just like
At least it's honesty, unlike Mr. I don't know how much, 5 or 6 minutes,
Yeah.
Masooma, I seen you use your phone a little more than usual.
A
Would
lot
you like
more.
to realistically say how much?
That's because I have friends, but
okay,
I'm joking.
Thanks.
I'm
Yeah.
joking. Anyways,
Yet she
that was a
doesn't
joke.
respond to her friend's text message from a few years
All
ago.
right,
That's-
let's stay on topic.
Okay. Anyways, well, I the thing is I don't use my laptop that much. I use my
Okay.
phone. So basically, if I have some schoolwork or I have to check something out, I wouldn't go on my laptop. I'll just use my phone because
Yeah.
I have a habit. Even if I am on the laptop, I'm using the phone at the same time. So like to cut down like both of it, I just like I just do major of my thing on the phone. And plus, what else do I do on my phone? I just like Netflix sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Netflix and schoolwork.
Realistically,
Yeah,
what
but
is
I
it,
have to say
hours?
my screen time increased ever since I came here. So, y'all boring. I'm joking.
No, that's fine. At least, realistically, and overall,
I think it's important to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to be honest with yourself, definitely.
I play for 25 hours a day.
That's sick. Wait,
Just,
what?
just as long as we're honest.
It's like 24 hours in a day.
25 hours a day, not 24. Please don't get me.
Well,
Sorry,
And
apparently
we asked
there's
everybody.
25 in
We asked everybody else about their screen time, and there's one person I know in particular, Hussein Hassan. He uses, I just wanted to know your opinion, of course. What do you think about how much screen time you do a day?
well, I don't even have a phone. So
But not a phone, not a phone. You know, or you know what I mean.
Laptop
You know.
or brother's phone.
well,
No,
I don't
listen.
have a laptop either.
See, really, it's not really about phone, laptop, whatever. It's really about. I mean, don't you group like everything, like in terms of even what you watch, right? That also counts into the same thing. So how much do you watch or play or do anything that's not,
Well, I haven't watched for a few days either. And playing, I don't really play that much. Really, like maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes. I just need to check my account, that's all.
But like the hadith, like the tradition stated that harmless activities in which you perform. I think that not only would it include screen time, but I think it would also include like reading books or like writing something or journaling or
Yeah.
painting and stuff in the arts. And like harmless activities in those that where your talents and your hobbies they coincide with one another.
Of course, an idea of a harmful screen time, a harmful activity would be like listening to music, which of course we all, Masooma of course was one of the main person who told us, it's not good to do. She said, she was one of course, and, it's obviously a huge sin, and everyone of course understands this, right? I think we all, Masooma especially,
Well,
understands.
Also,
But-
a good.
Yeah, so
Why do
I
you
mean,
pick on
it's
me
just
all the time?
Well, also a good activity I do is drawing.
Really?
Oh,
yeah,
that's
It's
nice.
one of my
Yeah,
hobbies.
Picasso.
Yeah, wow,
Oh, that's
I
cool.
draw a couple stuff.
Like what?
that's pretty good.
Yeah, like is it like landscape, like natural, or like just imagination?
Portraits.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool, mashallah.
Wow.
So you draw faces?
Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
not allowed in Islam.
Oh, and some people actually
That's
debate
another
about this.
topic.
Yeah, that's another
Okay,
topic. That's
I'm
a
joking.
that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, so those are the ideas of the differences between harmful activities and non-harmful activities. So just an overall question. According to everything, do you think that the screen time you use has an overall positive opinion or an overall negative opinion?
That's a good question.
Oh, it's a very good question.
In what sense is the?
In the sense
amount
that
we use?
just like everything. Like when you use your phone for however many hours, like you said, 24, 25, however many hours you use it for, is it overall positive, or are you, actually going down spiritually?
I think it just depends on what you use it for.
Yeah.
No, you. Let's start.
I mean, I use my phone to do various things, like play games or like watch Netflix and stuff. But I think if you just limit the things that could astray you from the right path, right?
Yeah.
Just like watching things that not necessarily align with our beliefs.
Yeah. Like watching the right things, of course, starts
Yeah,
there.
exactly. So I think it's just about how you use your phone and how you spiritually use your phone, or
Yeah.
like if you're using your phone for the right purposes.
Yeah, and of course, like we were talking about a phone or like any electronic at all. If we go back like 50 years from now, they didn't have this stuff. So, like the basic things that they did, like for example, doing research, they would have to go to a library. Nowadays, like what is a library? Do you guys know what a library is?
I actually.
What's a? I think
Ever
they sell
since COVID, I
I think they
forgot
sell
what library
magazines and
is.
fruit juice. Something like that. But
Well-
now everything is online. You can get every single thing. Whatever you can do, research any topic you can do. This and that you can do classes, everything. So, why would I ask? The next question. Why do you think that it has so much good, yet people are using it for the wrong reasons?
Using what phone?
Using technology for the wrong reasons, and it has so much,
I think
potential.
I think it's just society. I think it's
Society.
like what we
Blame
see.
it on society, right? Yes.
We see people like, for example, on social media, we see people that we like admire, or like we like a famous actor or something that you think that you want to be like him, or you think that they have some type of superiority in society. And I feel like it's with that and like looking up to like these false idols that it leads you to just like kind of try to be someone that you're not, or try to become something that it's not good for you spiritually.
Great point. Anybody else?
Yeah. Well, if you want to follow someone, it shouldn't be actors or anybody. Your role model should be part of the Ahlul Bayt.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
You shouldn't follow, these people, you think they're high and mighty is because they have money, they have this, right? They have houses and they have properties, but that's not what life is about. It's supposed to be more about getting closer to Allah. If you have a phone, you should get more spiritual benefits from it.
I definitely agree. Yeah. And like, fame can also get into your heads, and some people have said that. But back to the question, like, the positive and the negative perspectives of, not social media, sorry, screen time, technology. There's always going to be a battle of keeping a balance between falling on the extreme sides of either, right? So I guess that's what we have to be careful about and aware of, right? So like, yeah, there's going to be a positive side, of educational things, but obviously we have to also make sure that we don't take majority of our time just, 24/7 on a laptop studying. You got to take breaks. You got to make sure that you take care of yourself, take care of your eyes, take care of your, posture when you're, sitting down for so long. And then negative sides, like being on, different various platforms on your technology of any sorts. And those are negative sides that, you got to make sure that don't let it affect you. Don't let it get into your subconscious. Keep your mental health strong. Don't let other people's viewpoints affect yours. Be knowledgeable in things, and don't keep a narrow mind and don't judge. So of course there's going to be a battle between this negative and positive. But inshallah, just being aware of this, knowing what they have an impact on you, can help you to better yourself and keep a balance between it. Awareness is a first key to keeping yourself successful regarding, balancing these things.
Yeah. Of course, Brother Hadi would also, he also understands it.
I feel like a lot of people fall a victim to like what other people think about them, or like how other people perceive them. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how. I mean, you should have like self-respect for yourself, and you should try to become a respectable person, obviously. But it doesn't matter like these materialistic things, like showing off, or like everything that goes on social media, these hierarchies, how many likes you get, how many comments you get, or how many views you get. I don't think any of this matters at the end of the day. It doesn't matter, because it's just like a system. You get stuck in it, and it's like a circle. You just keep going. You just keep searching for this I forgot what the word is. You search for you search for
Contentment.
Contentment.
Like self-contentment.
So
Yeah.
you search for contentment through other things, but you have to find it in yourself.
Like
Yeah.
the quote of Rumi is like the whole universe lies within you, right? Like if you look into yourself, you have all the treasures and all the answers you'll ever need.
Yeah, Rumi has a lot of great quotes, of course. He says a lot of different stuff. Yeah, so that's basically the main thing of the entire thing. And of course, now let's go over a few signs. It's not really that hard to tell. If you're playing too much, or if you're working too much, or this and that. One of the main signs are your eyes start to hurt. If your eyes are like there's like blood and they're really hurting you, and you're telling your mom, I have a headache. Thanks, Sherlock. It's because you're playing all day. One of my friends, no, I wouldn't forget it. There's this guy I know.
Your friend.
There's this guy I know. Please don't make it that person.
Okay.
For someone I know, they play a lot, like hours we're talking about. And they play so much that now they have to get glasses. Like I have glasses, but it's not because I play too much. It's because
Genetics.
I need glasses.
To play glasses.
Yeah. So they play so much, and now they need glasses.
Because their eyes hurt.
Yeah, because their eyes are hurting. And it's not like they're like, oh, I'm gonna play less now. And they're like, oh, I was like, so why do you get glasses? They're like, I don't know. I was like, well, I know. Why they got glasses.
But see, like, there's like a that's a negative side, right? Like, when I was young, I would read books, and then my mom would turn off the light, and I would use the hallway lights to finish my books that I would read. I loved the Goosebumps series growing up, and so that affected my eyesight as well. So like the love of books or the love of video games, like
Well,
books made.
are on an easy
Yeah,
path.
yeah, definitely, I agree. But that's a positive thing, right? But you gotta make sure that even the positive thing you're doing is not harmful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, even video games, like, there's some positive aspects to it. Like, some people say that they have good reflexes or something like that. But again, make sure you don't do too excessive of it, and make sure it doesn't cause bodily harm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say those are like the good old days when people's eyes were hurt from reading books.
Well,
Now their eyes hurt because they're reading books. They're like, oh, those books, I hate those.
Well, video games, there are many positives to it. There are positives and negatives, of course. There are some positives, like
Keep it
you
neutral, yeah.
learn strategy and you learn different abilities that you should be able to do in life. It really helps you. But there are a lot of negatives that don't help you, and they hurt you, in fact. There's a lot of them, but, it's not me.
Yes, and to put it all in a bow tie and tie it up on top to fix everything. We can just look to the Surah Wajiha, and we can see that one of the verses says that the best of people, the sabakun, it said there's going to be a few, a lot from the earlier peoples, and then it said that there's going to be a few from the later peoples. So we see that, of course, we're talking about the time of Prophet Muhammad when all the companions, so many people. But now, and obviously the later peoples is talking about us. This time that we're in, the time where everything's basically turned around. All of the beliefs, people are saying this and that. And of course, we're waiting for the arrival of our 12th Imam, may Allah hasten his appearance. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So we just have to try to do what we can, and we have to try to follow, by the Islamic guidelines, and of course put our time, like we were talking about, into these 4 different parts, so that not only do we get, entertainment, not only do we spend time with family, we do, of course, we have to do studies, everything, of course, religiously, just to keep everything, so that you don't have to take anything away. We just have to have it in parts, but we have to understand that our main priority has to be serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remembering that we were put on this world for a reason. And of course that reason is to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to please Him. And inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to achieve these goals. Well, that's all the time we have left for today. Thank you for everyone who participated in our program.
You're welcome.
Now let's do Allahumma kulli waliyaka for the safety and protection of our 12th Imam. And inshallah, we are all helpers of our Allah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Allahumma kulli waliyaka al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, salawatuka alayhi wa ala aba'i, fi hadhihi sa'a wa fi kulli sa'a, waliyan wa hafidha wa qaidan wa nasira ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Once again, thank you for everyone who participated in our program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Khuda Hafiz. Just like I was talking about my charitable donations.
Of course.
I just like to, give back to the community.
How's the homeless guy?
Alright, it's time for the
Hey, you! Give me my word, jerk!
Oh my God.